ago. We had a really nice article on it. But Carlsberg has always been green, okay? And he talks in this article. It's an excellent article. I just, read anything that Mark writes. And he talks about how you have to work diligently, not just to note the little hops leaf. That's what they make beer from, hops and barley and stuff. Unless it's rice. Oh, come on, rice beer. That's what Budweiser is. Anyway, there's the crown. There's the little thing. Anyway, there's a bunch of little codes, and also this color. Okay, the Carlsberg color. Now, having said that, what Mark points out is that Carlsberg has destroyed their brand. Not really. But the thing is, Liverpool FC, which is right here, Fighting Cocks, I think it is, and they don't say that too often. Anyway, Liverpool is in the Champions League finals. And part of the reason I want to start with this because the game yesterday with the HotSpurs was unbelievable. I didn't watch the beginning because they were down 2-0, and I thought, oh, brother, here we have a huge game, and they can't score again. But, much to my surprise, suddenly, toward the end, it was 2-2. And so I turned it on, and it was in minute 3 or 4 of the 5-minute, or maybe it was in minute 5 of the 5-minute extra time, and the goalie, the opposition had just gotten a goal kick, and he was kind of standing around fumbling with the ball, trying to take time because at 2-2 they would have won, and the Hotspurs would have been out. But he kicks it all the way down the field, and then through a bunch of really almost peculiar passes and things, the ball kind of ends up in front of the net. So and kaboom, the Hotspurs win it. Unbelievable. So it's an All England Champions League final, June 1st. And Mark, I started watching the Hotspurs. I was center mid in high school, so and team captain. So I know something about playing football, but I stopped watching the NFL, and I don't understand. They play like multiple leagues at the same time through the season. It's like if the Packers decided that they were going to play Wisconsin, and there was some overlap between pro teams and college teams. That would be kind of like, and then they take the best pro teams and have the playoffs or something, or the best college teams, and there's all woven together. And it's really kind of equitable because the worst pro teams get relegated out of the Premier League, as an example, and down to the lesser league. And the best pro teams go to this Champions League, and there they play other teams from Europe. And so it's quite a big deal that England has both teams in the finals. But anyway, Ritson points out rightly that a brand works so hard to establish itself. And I've practically made a career of saying, you're using your own logo 6 different ways with 6 different typefaces because you're not paying attention. You need to pay attention. And people don't enough. And then, I took over a design group, and I said to them, like the first day, well, what's your average amount of time per page? And they said, what? Why would we even know that? We're creatives. Anyway, so I said, well, we're going to figure it out. And so we took the last 10, we were mainly building catalogs. Took like the last 10 catalogs and figured out how many hours it took and divided by the number of pages, and we had a number. Okay? And we started talking about grids, and we talked about layout and typefaces and having basically a branding book. Because we were working with Pontiac and 3M and Caterpillar and some really big name companies, and we wanted to make sure that we were doing a decent job with their conventions and codes and getting the colors right and all that. But besides that, we wanted to have a more efficient process. Well, a couple, and the designers I had to fire the top guy, and then a bunch of the other designers were threatening to quit. And one day, the designer came in and said, I've got this. It was actually a golf bag, big item. And he said, I think it would look really great if we could let it go toward the edge of the page, outside the grid. It would stand out more. Is that okay? I said, absolutely. That's the kind of stuff I wanted to see. He said, really? I thought we had to follow all the rules. I said, yeah, you have to follow the rules unless you have a good reason to break them. I said, you were designing with no rules. No one had any clue what was going to be on the next page. And so every day you'd come in and try and decide what you were going to do next. That's very, very inefficient. You wouldn't have McDonald's deciding what goes on the menu every day, depending on who walks up, except now they're going into AI. So Mark points out that once you have the brand established and time goes by, your target audience started out as being, young people, and now they're old like me, still drinking your beer. Then the young people think it's an old person beer, and that's just inevitable. And he says, so every now and then you got to break the rules. And Carlsberg has been a supporter of Liverpool for decades. And in the 60s, Liverpool changed their color to red to be more fearsome and successful. And Mark points all that out in the history. But the Spurs are going to win because they're lucky. That's what they said after the game last night. They said, I think we were lucky. The ball just went in. Well, there's something to that. Anyway, but Mark rightly points out sometimes you have to break the rules, but you have to have rules in order to break the rules. So let's talk about Neutrogena. Neutrogena tapped into the weather to sell more products. And for some reason, they make this sound like it's a big AI, big data project. And they figured out that customers wanted UV protection in the summer and wanted moisturizer in the winter. That sounds really tough. Back in 1981 or 2, I was asked to figure out if we could predict what products would sell to Amoco Tires, Batteries, and Accessories division. What would a gas station that worked on cars want next for product? And what I found was, the only thing I could find was that in mid-December or so, a lot of batteries and snow tires sold. Wow, big data. It wasn't big data. I don't remember how I did it, but it wasn't even on a spreadsheet. I just noticed it, and away it went. And so I don't know why they talk about this as if it were somehow big data, but I remember reading an article, this was from 2012, how the 7-Eleven in Japan changed the products that they put in the front based on the regional weather. And every store, every computer, their management system that they put in years ago had regional weather. I did work with Blockbuster, as I've mentioned, and they told me the top 10 reasons why people would stock up on videos was a weather event coming. They said if we could rent hurricanes and blizzards, we would make a fortune. Unfortunately, they couldn't control the weather, but they could adjust to it. And also, I can't read. And back in the day, here, lemonade stand. I don't know if you've ever played this. It's available online. You buy your paper cups, you buy your lemons, you buy your sugar, and you're allowed to do pricing. So we hit OK. Now what happens is it shows you, and I made a little money here, but it shows you the weather forecast. Now the last 2 days it was 88 and hazy. When you really make out is when it's like 90s and sunny for lemonade. Okay, so the kicker is if you know that the forecast is going to be sunny might help, but 57 is not a day for lemonade. So what you want to do is buy less inventory on those days, and then really stock up like crazy. But the point is, I use this to teach marketing and business to my kids. So if you've got little kids, you want to go find lemonade stand. Maybe I'll put the link in my YouTube channel. But we've had a lot of experience with weather. Cabela's had a big season if the weather got cold a little early in the hunting season. Baseball Express, we learned to mail the introductory book. You can mail it in January down in the South, deep South, because it's warm there. You can play ball. But you got to wait till about March because that's when the teams are kind of waking up and thinking about it. We don't really the Major League Baseball doesn't start till April in general. I think April. I think they started in March this year, but anyway, mostly April. And the high school teams are a little bit later than that. So weather matters, and I wanted just to say that. And it's not new. It doesn't take big data. Look at your customers' buying patterns. You can do it by state. You can get the zip code weather charts. I was talking to the seed company, and they asked me what weather zone I was in. I said I think five 5B or 6. And I'm right on the line, actually. But I knew that because weather matters. We model with weather.